Hello, you are watching the news from Kazakhstan. I'm Marina Kima, and here are the top stories. Happy together! The baby boy kidnapped from an Almaty maternity hospital is reunited with his mother. Summit without Obama. The US ambassador to Kazakhstan officially confirms the American president will not attend the OSCE summit in Astana. The right to protest. Almaty real estate investors sue policemen who broke up their rally next to the regional administration. Baby boy Ratmir, who was recently kidnapped from an Almaty maternity hospital, is reunited with his mother. The kidnapping was plotted by a 25-year-old woman who also gave birth in the same hospital 3 years ago. Currently, the case is invested by the police, while the family is celebrating the happy ending to their misfortunes.
It took a little over 2 days for the detectives to find the baby kidnapped from the maternity hospital. On Tuesday at 5 a.m. Ratmir was returned to his mother Svetlana Shishkova. Family members say the boy is fine and surprisingly calm. I've not slept for 3 days, and this night I was ironing all of his clothes, just feeling that he was found. Then I heard some steps and I knew that it was my boy being brought to me. Ratmir disappeared from the ward of the Almaty maternity hospital on November 20th. The investigation found that he was kidnapped by a 25-year-old Almaty resident whose name is not revealed yet. In her guilty plea, the woman said she imitated pregnancy for 9 months, trying to save her marriage. The boy was in the cradle and his mother was asleep. The suspect entered the room, took the baby and went to the bathroom. There she put the baby into a bag, left the hospital, caught a cab and went home. On Tuesday, Ratmir and his mother were discharged from the maternity hospital. They were greeted by journalists and family members. Happy grandmother Tatyana Shishkova was crying the tears of joy. I and my son-in-law are very happy. We will celebrate this birthday for 6 days from 17th to 23rd of November. The investigation will determine the responsibility of the maternity hospital for the incident. So far, the staff is not commenting the issue to the press.
On Tuesday, the US ambassador to Kazakhstan, Richard Holland, officially confirmed that President Barack Obama will not attend the OSCE summit in Astana due to busy schedule. Apparently, Obama is not the only one to decline the invitation. The Foreign Affairs Ministry says only 29 presidents confirmed their trips instead of previously reported 40.
The most anticipated guest, the head of the White House, will skip the OSCE summit on December after all, although the American delegation will still make the political trip to the capital of Kazakhstan. The US ambassador to Kazakhstan, Richard Holland, says the official US delegation will be led by Hillary Clinton. She will be accompanied by some 200 officials. In this regard, Holland asked not to politicize the refusal of Barack Obama to attend the OSCE summit in Astana. He noted that contacts between presidents will continue.
I wouldn't characterize it as a refusal at all. It's a matter of scheduling, and I assure you that President Obama and President Nazarbayev stay in very close touch.
According to the Kazakh Foreign Affairs Ministry, 29 heads of states have confirmed their participation in the event. Previously, ministry representatives claimed that no less than 40 leaders plan to visit Astana. We're talking about 29 presidents and vice presidents of Switzerland, where presidents change every year, 1 presidium chairman, 12 prime ministers, 3 deputy ministers and several foreign affairs ministers. The Foreign Affairs Ministry notes that the list of heads of states which plan to attend the forum in Astana is not final. Until the end of November it will be revised and supplemented. However, some experts are already making forecasts saying that the absence of several presidents at the summit will make it impossible to solve the problems on its agenda.
Kazakh citizens are discussing the end of the American part of the Kazakh Gate scandal. US businessman, former advisor to Kazakh president and a spy, James Giffen, was fully acquitted by a Manhattan court last Friday. Many politicians and experts believe this development places the president of Kazakhstan, who was codenamed KO1 in the process, in a more difficult position.
Public activists and oppositional politicians are actively discussing the end of the Kazakh Gate. Everything is more or less clear about James Giffen. He's a national hero, a real patriot who disarmed Kazakhstan, cut off China's weapons supply and saved Jews. The question stands, if Giffen is a CIA agent, then who are the Kazakh participants of the Kazakh Gate?
Giffen
If Giffen is a CIA agent, then Kazakh officials who cooperated and worked with him are his accomplices. A leader of the Social Democratic Party, the former Prosecutor General Jarmakhan Tuyakbay, believes the spy managed to gain the trust of the head of state and become his personal advisor. That is why the case is not so much about treason and sale of state secrets of the president, although it would be definitely better if everyone was sure about that. I don't believe that President knew that Mr. Giffen is a CIA agent, and he certainly didn't tell anyone that at the orders of the USA he collects information of state importance, which damages Kazakhstan's interests. This issue must be investigated and given a legal assessment. One of the major questions during Kazakhgate was the transfer of $84 million to the accounts of Kazakh top officials Nazarbayev and Balgimbayev. The transfer itself was proven during the trial, but the American court decided not to bother dealing with the head of another state. On the other hand, citizens of Kazakhstan really want to know the truth about it for already 7 years.
Взятка чем интересно, что есть не только тот, кто дает взятку, но тот, кто ее берет.
A bribe involves two parties, one gives it and another accepts. It is not clear about the former. His bribe was in the interest of America, whereas the investigation of the latter is still ahead. In this sense, I disagree with those who say that Kazakhgate is over. This is not the end, and rather the beginning. The question is when we will return to this issue, maybe in a year or 10, but we will definitely return to it eventually. The situation with Pinochet could easily repeat in Kazakhstan. From a legal standpoint, any citizen of the country has the right to ask law enforcement for an investigation and the announcement of its results. In reality, though, no one can do this, says famous politician Sirikbalsin Abdildin. He believes that until the leader of the nation will remain in office, citizens will never find any answers about Kazakhgate.
Назарбаев очень способный человек.
Nazarbayev is a very talented person who always gets away with anything, like in this case. At the same time, no one can accuse him of anything in his lifetime, as it is prevented inside Kazakhstan by the law, while outside he has some wealth, which even the USA wants to use. Oppositional parties and public organizations plan to raise the issue of Kazakhgate once again, in an attempt to find answers about the matters of state importance. Experts believe that sooner or later this case will find appropriate legal, political and economical assessment, although this is likely to happen only after the change of power.
It seems that there will be no change in power for quite some time. Nursultan Nazarbayev will likely remain in the office after the presidential elections in 2012, say experts of the international organization Economist Intelligence Unit, focused on the development of Kazakhstan until 2015.
For the first time, international observers acknowledged that Nazarbayev will remain a president even after 2012. A report cites political forecasts up to 2015. Experts from the Economist Intelligence Unit believe that even if Nazarbayev will retire, he will remain as an influential political figure due to the law on the leader of nation, which granted Nazarbayev a set of rights and privileges.
Tuesday morning, the Almaty Garrison Court announced its decision on the theft of $600,000 from Kazkommertsbank. The investigation was monitored personally by the country's Prosecutor General. Among the defendants were bank employees as well as officers of the National Security Committee and Financial Police. Most of them were sentenced to 9 years of imprisonment.
Despite the open hearing, the press was not allowed inside the courtroom to witness the announcement of the verdict. Two lawyers of the defendants were left outside as well. I'm Mamedov's attorney, let me in. You're violating the rights of our clients. The judge said you cannot enter. You should not have been late. According to the prosecution case, the fraud was very simple. During the audit of Kazkommertsbank, the financial police stole the bank's forms and falsified the stamp. Later, the swindlers forged an invoice and wired around $700,000 to another bank. The crime was committed in November of the last year, with the subsequent investigation completed in very speedy nature, given it was monitored from very top. We disagree with everything. We assess the evidence base given at the hearings during the pleadings, but were ignored. As a result, we feel that we were given this unjust verdict. One of the organizers of the fraud is the former member of the anti-corruption department, Sagimkulov. He was sentenced to 9 years of imprisonment. The former accountant of Kazkommertsbank Stalerenko, as well as KZI bank lawyers Kinzibayev and Mamedov, each got 8 years, while Erdogan Kazhibekov, a draftee who served as a mediator between all criminals, received 9. However, his lawyers insist that their client could not possibly commit the crime. He has a solid alibi, as he was not in Almaty when the crime was committed. He was not working in the bank, as he was serving in the army. The court found that even though he was not in the city, he still could easily communicate with his partners in crime over the cell phone. This was also confirmed by the investigation. This, however, is not the end of the case, which strongly reminds of certain Hollywood heist movies. A separate case was instigated against the former investigator of Almaty Internal Affairs Department, Adilov, still on the run from the law enforcement, who tried to rescue his partners from criminal responsibility.
Co-investor of the development company Kazkommerts Engineering, Zhankazy Bakibayev, seeks to recover over $6,000 from law enforcement as compensation for moral damages. On September 28, he was detained by the police as an organizer of a rally next to the regional administration. Now the defrauded businessman and real estate investor plans to stand up for his right to protest.
Businessman Zhankazy Bakibayev seeks to recover $6,000 of compensation from the law enforcement. On September 28th, he was among the defrauded real estate investors of the company Kazkommerts Engineering, who wanted to pass a message to Nazarbayev. Their rally was held next to the Almaty regional administration and was later broken up by the police. Bakibayev says this affects his business reputation. Since they never explained anything to me or allowed me to talk to them, I invited them to the only place I can fully express myself, to the court. Members of the District Internal Affairs Department countered by saying co-investors used inappropriate language addressing policemen. When I approached Murat Zhankubayev, who is a pensioner of our organization, he told me to go to hell. This prompted policemen to personally escort the participants of the rally to the office of the on-duty officer for a conversation. Furthermore, in his action, the plaintiff seeks a compensation for moral damages. However, we believe Bakibayev's claims to be unfounded and unsupported with evidence. The main question, which was the amount of time the detained people spent in the District Internal Affairs Department, was left unanswered. Policemen claim they let everyone free in half an hour, while co-investors say they stayed there for at least 2. Interestingly, there is no mention of the incident in the department's log files. This prompted the judge to postpone the hearing until he will be presented with a document specifying the time spent by co-investors in the department. If such records will not be found, the defense will charge the law enforcement with abuse of power.
Construction workers of the development company Kuat Story plan to hold a rally on November 30, right on the eve of the OSCE summit in Astana. The desperate workers have not been paid salaries for already several years.
The salary debt to 1,500 construction workers is estimated at $11.5 million. Kuat failed to pay wages for already 3 years. During this time, people sued the company, wrote appeals to the Almaty administration and even the government. But only a year ago, after mass protests, the enterprise began the repayment, although the debts have not been covered completely yet. Another appeal of the workers was sent to the Almaty administration on November 20th, and the authorities have yet to react. The assemblies are important to show your determination foremost to receive your earned money.